What if I told you that sometimes the person being cheated on isn't actually the victim? What if everything you think you know about betrayal, revenge, and justice is about to get turned completely upside down? The Reddit post I'm about to tell you about got 2.3 million views, thousands of comments calling for justice, and everyone praising one man's strength in walking away. But what nobody knew was that this wasn't a story about betrayal at all. This was a story about the most elaborate setup in relationship history. You think you know this story, but trust me, you don't. What you're about to hear started as a Reddit post that went viral for all the wrong reasons. A man discovers his girlfriend of 3 years is cheating with not one, not two, but 4 different guys. The internet exploded with support, calling him a king for walking away with his dignity intact. But sometimes the real story is far more incredible than what makes it to the front page. Meet Jake, 28 years old, software engineer, the kind of guy who still opens doors and remembers anniversaries. He'd been with Sarah for 3 years, and by all accounts, they were the perfect couple. Jake was working double shifts, saving every penny for the engagement ring he'd been secretly planning for months. But then Sarah's phone started lighting up at 2 a.m., night after night. "Just work stuff," she'd mumble, but Jake wasn't buying it. Who gets work texts at 2 in the morning? The Reddit version of this story? Jake finally cracks, goes through her phone, and discovers the unthinkable. 4 different guys. His best friend Marcus, her boss David, their neighbor Tom, and Alex, the gay friend who apparently wasn't so gay after all. 8 months of betrayal while Jake worked himself to the bone for their future. But here's where our story takes a different turn. Because what if I told you that Jake finding that phone wasn't an accident? Let me take you back 6 months before Jake discovered those texts. Jake's sitting in his therapist's office, Dr. Martinez, for what he says is work stress. But 3 sessions in, the real truth comes out. "She's cheating on me," Jake says quietly. "I know she is." Dr. Martinez leans forward. "How do you know?" "Because I hired someone to follow her." See, Jake isn't the naive boyfriend everyone thinks he is. He's a software engineer who knows how to track digital footprints, who noticed Sarah's location services were off, who saw the subtle changes in her behavior weeks before anyone else would have caught on. Jake had discovered Sarah's infidelity 2 months before he ever touched her phone. But instead of confronting her immediately, he made a choice that nobody saw coming. He decided to let it play out, not out of weakness, but out of something far more calculating. You see, Jake had learned something about Sarah that changed everything. Her father had abandoned the family when she was 12, leaving them with massive debt. Her mother had spent years telling Sarah that men always leave when things get hard. Sarah had grown up terrified of abandonment, so terrified that she sabotaged every relationship before it could get serious. Jake realizes that Sarah isn't cheating because she's bored or because he's predictable. She's cheating because she's terrified he's going to propose, terrified of the commitment, terrified of being left like her mother was. So she's unconsciously destroying their relationship before he can destroy her. But here's where Jake's plan gets interesting. Instead of leaving immediately, he decides to help her confront her demons in the most unconventional way possible. Jake starts working those double shifts, but not to save for a ring. He's saving for something else entirely. He begins subtly encouraging Sarah's relationships with these 4 men, never directly, but creating opportunities. He suggests she grab drinks with Marcus after work. He mentions how David seems like a good boss. He even asks Alex to keep Sarah company when he's working late. To everyone watching, Jake looks like the oblivious boyfriend. But he's actually orchestrating the entire thing, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal what he knows. The moment Sarah hits rock bottom and realizes what she's lost. But here's what nobody on Reddit knew. Jake never intended to leave Sarah. This entire elaborate scheme, letting her cheat, documenting everything, working extra shifts, it was all designed to force Sarah to confront the trauma that was driving her self-destructive behavior. The night Jake discovered those texts, he had printed out every conversation, every photo, every lie. But he also had something else. A letter he'd written to Sarah 8 months earlier, the day he first confirmed she was cheating. A letter explaining everything he knew about her father, her fears, and why he believed she was sabotaging their relationship. Jake's plan was never revenge. It was the most twisted form of therapy anyone had ever attempted. When Jake finally confronts Sarah, she does laugh and say, "Took you long enough." But what the Reddit post doesn't mention is what happened next. Jake pulls out that 8-month-old letter and reads it aloud. Word for word, he describes Sarah's childhood trauma, her pattern of self-sabotage, and his theory about why she was cheating. Sarah's laughter dies in her throat as she realizes that Jake has known everything from the beginning. "You let me?" she whispers. "I let you hit rock bottom," Jake says, because sometimes that's the only place where real healing can begin. But Jake's plan backfires spectacularly. Instead of being grateful for his twisted form of intervention, Sarah feels manipulated and controlled. She realizes that for 8 months, she's had no agency in her own life. Every choice she thought she was making was actually part of Jake's elaborate psychological experiment. The 4 men, they start dropping her one by one, just like Jake predicted they would. But instead of running back to Jake, Sarah disappears entirely. 2 months pass. Jake realizes that his attempt to save Sarah has actually destroyed any chance they had at real healing. He'd become the very thing Sarah feared most, someone who abandoned her when she needed help, just in a more sophisticated way. The phone call comes, just like in the Reddit post. Sarah is crying, saying she made a huge mistake. But this time, Jake knows the full truth. "I know about the letter," Sarah says. "I found it in your apartment when I came back for my things." "Sarah, I was trying to help. You were trying to control me. You saw me drowning, and instead of throwing me a life preserver, you decided to study how long it would take me to sink." Jake realizes that his elaborate plan to force Sarah to confront her trauma has actually created new trauma. He'd become the abandoning father figure he thought he was protecting her from. The real climax isn't Jake hanging up on Sarah. It's Jake realizing that his need to be the hero, to fix Sarah's problems through manipulation rather than communication, makes him just as damaged as she is. Jake doesn't hang up on Sarah. Instead, he does something that never made it into the Reddit post. "I'm sorry," he says. "I thought I was helping, but I was just playing God with your life." "I know," Sarah replies. "And I'm sorry too, for all of it." They don't get back together, but they do something more important. They both commit to real therapy, separately, to deal with their respective traumas. Jake's need to control and fix, Sarah's fear of abandonment. 6 months later, Jake posts on Reddit, but he doesn't tell the real story. He tells the version that makes him look like the victim, the betrayed boyfriend who walked away with dignity. Because the real story, that he orchestrated his girlfriend's infidelity as a form of amateur psychology, makes him look like something much worse than a victim. The Reddit post gets 2.3 million upvotes because people love a clean narrative. Good guy, bad girl, justice served. But real life is messier than that. Sometimes the victim is also the villain. Sometimes trying to save someone is actually destroying them. And sometimes the person asking for sympathy on the internet is the one who caused all the damage in the first place. The Reddit post got 2.3 million upvotes and thousands of comments praising Jake for his strength in walking away. But the real story? It's about how sometimes our attempts to help the people we love can become the very thing that destroys them. Jake thought he was conducting an intervention. Sarah thought she was self-sabotaging. But they were both just 2 traumatized people trying to control an uncontrollable situation. In the end, the real betrayal wasn't Sarah's cheating. It was Jake's decision to treat their relationship like a psychology experiment instead of, actually talking to her about what he'd discovered. So here's my question for you. If you discovered your partner was cheating because of their own trauma, would you confront them immediately or would you try to fix them first? And more importantly, where's the line between helping someone heal and manipulating them for their own good? Let me know in the comments below, because this story has me questioning everything I thought I knew about love, betrayal, and the lengths we'll go to save the people we care about. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that'll make you question everything you think you know about human nature.